Did you know that psychologists find that spiritual awakenings often mimic symptoms of a mental breakdown? Actually, the start of a profound personal transformation. Welcome. So today's video, I want to talk about spiritual awakenings. And the reason I want to do this is because, spirituality is something that's so close to my heart, and it's not something that I've spoken often about on this channel. I think the closest I've probably got is when I've spoken about my ayahuasca experiences. And so I have another channel, which I link in the bio, which is for my esoteric channel. And that is all spiritual things, and that's all done through AI. And the reason I want to do this one today is because I recently did one on that channel about the spiritual awakening stages, and I don't know why I was surprised, but I could recognize myself in each of those stages. And so, as I said in the first part of this video, psychologists have actually shown that when people go through a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening, it can mimic like a mental breakdown. And so I think it's important for people to realize, don't worry, you are not going crazy. It's all very normal what you're going through. And when you get to the end, it is the most profound, amazing, and beautiful experience ever. And every amount of pain that you do go through in your journey you will go through it tenfold to get to the other side. It's all worth it. So the first recognized stage is the call to awakening. So this can be slightly different for different people. So sometimes it can just be like a restlessness with life. Or, for myself, I got to the point where I was like, this can't be it. This is not my life. I don't want this as my life. This cannot be all there is to life. And I'd done everything that was scripted. I went to college, I went to uni, I had a good job, I got, good grades, I got married, I had children, I even got the bloody dog. I still wasn't happy. And so there is a real dissatisfaction. With other people, it can be something major happens, like the loss of a loved one. And so these are usually the first stages where then there starts to be this deeper longing or yearning to want to know more. After that, the second stage is seeking and exploration. So after you've had that feeling of there must be more to life than this, or this dissatisfaction with your life, or if something major's happened, you start seeking, start exploring, and it can show up in many different ways. And for me, I just started listening to TED Talks. This is when I started listening and reading books again. I started going on loads of courses, loads of different courses, ones for healing. I went to lots of conscious healing festivals. I did a yoga teacher training course to deepen my practice. I did an energy, a shamanic energy healing course, just to kind of understand energy a little bit more, because up until that point, I could have had this conversation with myself. I would have been like, what on earth are you on about? You sound like a crazy person. But there was just this real curiosity and desire to just learn, absorb as much as I possibly can. So that is recognized as stage 2, the seeking and the exploring of what's around and what else is out there. The third stage is the dark night of the soul. And it's pretty much what it says. It's quite dark. And I'm actually going to read this chapter out of what the ChatGPT said when I was creating the other video. on the other channel. So it says, just as you think you're making progress, bam, the dreaded dark night of the soul. Imagine every fear, every insecurity, everything you thought you'd hidden away, rising up, staring you in the face. It's not pretty and it's not Instagrammable. Here's when many turn back. They think, wasn't spiritual awakening supposed to be peaceful? But this stage is like fire. It's burning away the old you, making room for something entirely new if you can survive it. And so when I read this and was creating it of a video, I'd realised, so I had around a 2-year connection with somebody, and in that relationship it was an open, non-monogamous relationship. So the first time I'd ever experienced that kind of relationship. And so then it brought up all these, like it says, these insecurities, all these things. It was like a mirror of everything that needed healing that I hadn't realized needed healing. Fortunately, the partner I had at the time when I was going through that was able to hold space for all of these things to come up within me, to be able to go deep and get to the root of them so they would stop coming up. And I think it would have been a lot harder for me to go through that or by myself, having somebody so grounded and able to just be the container and hold that space for me. And there were many times I felt like giving up. And I'm so glad I didn't, because now I feel like I would go through 100 times the pain of all the things that come up in being in that kind of relationship, because those are all the things that led to my growth to where I am today. And so for you, share in the comments, what has been your experience? I only know from my own and seeing from friends' experiences when it feels like their whole world is falling apart and everything's coming up, and it's quite a hard thing to go through, especially when you kind of feel like, if this isn't bringing me peace, it doesn't feel like it's serving me. So it can feel easy to push that away, but actually sometimes in that pain is just the mirror to show us again where we can heal, where we can grow. The next stage is illumination and connection. So after you've gone through that stage of the dark night of the soul, there's that feeling of just feeling connected to everybody and everything, and just feeling that oneness and understanding that oneness, and also just wanting love for others as well. And so I think what, for myself, catapulted me to that point was after that relationship, was probably the ayahuasca ceremony. There was a moment when I was journeying, and for the first time, I actually didn't know where my body ended and the pillow and the bed, where that begun. I literally felt connected to everything that was around me, and so that was probably the real first physical feeling of connectedness. And I just remember as well, after that last relationship, it's even just the colours around me, everything looked different, everything looked brighter. Wow, this actually is heaven that we're in. This is what it looks like. And it was just a really beautiful space. I mean, that's probably what I would have thought spiritual awakening is like. Was just that stage, really. But I suppose it's a little bit like the caterpillar having to go through the chrysalis to get to a butterfly. The dark night of the soul is when you're going through that, when you're all cocooned, and it feels like that loss of letting that old self go, not really knowing what's ahead, and having to have that faith and trust. And yeah, coming out of that was just like, wow. It's like a whole new world. The fifth stage is integration and surrender. And it's funny, as I went to edit this video, I'd actually realised I missed one of the most important stages out, the integration and surrender. And it has to be in here because it's so important. And the reason it's important, because basically it's, you know, you can have that feeling of connectedness with everything. You can learn all of these things. But if you're not integrating every day, and consciously choosing the right actions that's aligning with your higher self and everything that you've learned, it kind of is almost pointless. So I had to obviously make sure the right bit is in, not the right bit, but this bit, part of it is in. And so this, in my own personal journey, firstly, I was always kind of integrating everything that I was learning. So if it was a whole book, then maybe there was a few things that resonated the most with me. And then that's what I would be embodying and putting into practice, and just feeling, yeah, how does that feel in my body? And then after the ayahuasca experience and the feeling of that oneness, the experience of seeing all my thoughts and feelings pulsating out. So how I integrated that, because I was very worried actually, because it catapulted me. And there's one thing doing things slowly and integrating it, but having a massive shift and trying to integrate that and not to lose that. It in some ways felt like it took more conscious effort and just keeping at it. So the first things I did, and if you've seen those videos, sorry to repeat myself, but I just continued to play positive affirmation music continuously. Like I literally would wake up in the middle of the night with songs playing, like I'm so happy, everything is always working out for me. Like, well, I'm so grateful actually. But I would just wake up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning, these songs would be going around my head. And I think that was the best way for me to kind of take control of my space in my home. And other things that I was doing and still do is every day in the shower in the morning, in the evening, I would ask to clear, cleanse, release and transmute any energies, behaviours, patterns, thoughts, feelings, words, expressions, actions, behaviors, anything at all on any level whatsoever, conscious, subconscious, unconscious, from me or anybody else, past, present or future in this lifetime, past, present or future lifetimes in any other dimensions, stopping me, blocking me, slowing me down from fulfilling all my identified purposes and any other positive purposes whilst here in this lifetime. And that just felt like at the end of the day and the beginning of the day of just staying present and keeping that connectedness. And that was it just started the day on that tone, after getting ready and after gratitude and things like that. It just kept me in that place, and then I would give thanks for everything that I had. But for me, that really just allowed me to I think it was just starting the day consciously, and integrating it in that way. And then the surrender is like, I have these big dreams, these big goals. Like I would love to create holistic schools worldwide, and I would love to create these amazing care packages to help people that are in hospital and just bring in the outside in. But I also have the awareness that, okay, I've got this and I'm working towards this, but actually I will surrender that if something else comes up or I'm guided into another way, in another direction, then I surrender to that and I trust in that process, and that's okay. So that for me was, yes, that journey of integration and surrender. And for anybody that's interested, I'll just read out what it said from the chat GBT about this particular phase, or this stage, sorry. So it says, after experiencing moments of profound clarity, the next stage is integration and surrender. It's one thing to feel connected and enlightened, but it's another to live it daily. So here, the journey of awakening shifts from an inner experience to a way of life. It says the Monroe Institute calls this stage essential, as it's where we bring everything we've learned into our actions, our words, and our choices. At this stage, you surrender not in defeat, but in trust. You allow the deeper wisdom you've gained to guide you. And yeah, there's a few other things, but that's the main points of that. Anyway, so the next stage is, and the last one, is awakening and service. So what it actually said on the chat GBT for that one was, it says, so many don't see coming. The journey isn't just for you. Real awakening calls you to serve, to give back, to uplift others. You become a light for others, a guide, maybe without even realizing it. The final stage is this call to service. It's about becoming part of something greater. And so this really resonates with me for where I'm at the moment in my life, because every day I'm just feeling like, how can I serve? Like, what would you have me do today? And even starting these videos, like, you know, I have this journey of where I want to go in my life, but every step of the way, it really is about, how can I bring more light? How can I bring more love? How can I bring more healing? How I feel is amongst the stars. And pretty much most days I'm feeling 10 plus. So I know it's possible. How can I help others to have this? Because there's that real deep understanding that when you heal, and when this person heals, we all heal. You know, when you're so full up, that's all you have for everybody. And I have spoken on my very crazy video of the angel, earth angel awakening, and I share my experience and my journey with that and all the stages that I realized. And there is that deep love and compassion for all people, regardless of what you've done, because there's that real understanding that none of us were ever born evil. Like, it's life, it's things that happen, and the worse somebody is, it's the more love that they need. And I know through conversations that I've had with people, they're like, no, that's crazy. But trust me, when you get here, that's all you have. That's all you have for people. There's nothing else there but love. And there's just, I mean, I can't even go into it in this video, and I know that it's just such a crazy mindset. And I say crazy because that's how I would have viewed it. Certainly before my spiritual awakening, and maybe even like during it. And I'm not sure, I'm trying to think if there was a pivotal moment that actually got me here, but I think it's just been like, there's Kensho and Satori, where something like catapults you into your spiritual awakening and deeper on the path, and others is a little bit slower, and mine has been slower. So it's been a 7-year journey. I actually realized yesterday it will be 7 years soon that I gave up alcohol, or I should say stopped addictions. And so it's been 7 years to get here. Anyway, I'm waffling and I'm not sure why I've gone off on this tangent, but if you found this video, and you know, I really would love to know, like, what stage are you in? Because I do feel like, as a collective consciousness, there are many people that are awakening and awake at this time, and that are on those stages. And I felt like for quite some time we've been on this cusp of not really knowing, like things going really bad or really good, but now I just feel nothing but amazing, great, beautiful vibes that things are going to work out for all of us. And I think it's easy to see that by the amount of conversations that like I have with people. They're just more awake and they're looking for this stuff and more aware of this stuff. There's just more people, so for me that's positive signs. Anyway, please share your journey, please share where you are. You might help somebody else, you might inspire somebody else. Anyway, thank you so much, and just blessings, much love and blessings always. Mwah.